Welcome everybody to Module 3, the social dimension of the city. Here with me, Declan. We've got Aiden and Sam today. So, uh, starting off, we have this week's module, just a deeper look into the social interactions within an urban landscape. We focused on city versus country life, kind of, that housing segregation and this really how human interaction changes. And we take a look at Afrofuturism as a way to explore future cityscapes. So the first section, the metropolis and mental life, coupled with city life versus country life, we can see that metropolitan life stimulates a person's mind in a way that country life doesn't. There's a background awareness and intellect in city life because of mainly the number of stimulants in daily life as opposed to the number of stimulants in a quiet, rural area. We see that money, economy, and time, they both play huge roles in shaping the mental landscape of an urbanized city. And because a money economy forces individuals to think rationally and not emotionally. In the city life, there's less room for emotion and barter just because of the dense population. You require money to survive, and that's what you're after. And time is emphasized in city life because of the rigid time structure that's necessary for efficient functioning. The intellectual mind or the rational mind uses time and numbers to survive, and it strays away from emotion and real, qualitative measurements of rural life because it has to. Going on to 3.2 with Sam.
Yeah, thanks, Declan. So we also watched and read a bunch of videos and readings, but first I'll get started with a reading The Module Man, which is very interesting. Toffler gave us multiple different terms and ideas to think about when we think about like everything involving the future. He spoke about the term information overload which is when all of this new information is coming to us way too quickly, causing us to feel information poverty, which is when we're basically stressing about adapting to all of these new changes and new information. He states that a solution to this is to find a way to develop skills to prioritize and filter all of this information and changes in a social way, professional with your work life, and technological way. We also watched a video about how America is aging since now there's a larger population of older people compared to last year's because of genes, behaviors, and locations, and with like everything upcoming. And we noticed that urban planners can assist with this by working with policymakers to create age-friendly cities, including transportation alternatives and local amenities to meet the needs of all the people of all ages. Then we also learned about ways that those devoted to Afrofuturism work really to give their kids the future that they wanted and a better future than they may have had. And then we kind of like learned about how like we've seen racism throughout all of history in the video of redlining and racial covenants. As it was explained that even the National Housing Act and Fair Housing Act led to redlining targeting people of color as they were not given like equal housing opportunities targeting people of color. So it definitely made it more difficult for them. And then for an additional reading, we chose to really focus on urban social geography, which explains the impact that cities have in influencing how cultures are incorporated and basically inaudibly demonstrate the way that the city lives. And then Aiden, we talking about Wakanda.
Thank you, Sam. So for 3.2, we watched a video that was recorded through the Virginia Tech SPIA with a guest appearance from Dr. Greason, who is a foremost expert in the idea of Afrofuturism, and part of Afrofuturism in our modern world, a very good example of it at least, is Wakanda. Wakanda is, well, most people would know about it as the setting in the Marvel Cinematic Universe where the Black Panther lives. It's the African utopia that was just so far ahead of the rest of the world, but also disconnected from the rest of the world. They had so many technological advancements that were just beyond our modern comprehension, and they were truly an African utopia. And this quote from Albert Camus, utopia is that which is in contradiction with reality, which is a very good idea or very good point to go into Wakanda with, because Wakanda is in reality just so far from what Africa has been thought of over the last few decades, even centuries, with these biases about it's still tribal, it's still rural, and about how it's just locked in this struggle. And we can see it as an idea, Wakanda as an idea of a utopian African society, and you look in other areas of, modern society, industrial society, where urbanization has just been so hard on these Black communities, and they've just been completely discounted and just is constantly a struggle for them. We can see that all across the globe even. And Wakanda, it shows how urban sprawl has just been pioneered, refined, perfected by these purely African societies. And it shows what could be. They never had to deal with colonialism. As far back as the 17th century, even into the 19th century, with the rampage in European colonialism that just devastated the entire continent. And Wakanda presents itself as this sort of meshing of past and future. They honor their ancestors. They keep their tribal, rituals even. We see the scene where the Black Panther has to fight for his throne. This is their culture, their history, and they honor this. Even when their society is dominated by these massive technological advancements, they hold true to their history. And it's this meshing of their past, which has been discounted and just completely ignored through bias and discrimination, and their future, which is completely brought down by the same thing. And it shows what could be and what should be for Afrofuturism. In our conclusion, we talked about in this module how we explained the difficulties that people have had with all of the many changes that are impacting future cities, and how Wakanda, despite being a fictional conceptualization of an African utopia, it lends a lot to past struggles and future struggles of the African people. And we learned about how city life is quantitative, or thought of as quantitative, and the individual is specialized to contribute a part of a greater whole, becoming an objective capitalistic economy as opposed to a caring qualitative economy. This slide we have our materials for this session. I just want to say thank you for watching.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.